When you play the Game of Thrones, you
Subscribe and like.
or you die. There is no middle ground.
Alright, hello YouTube, and welcome back to the Grease Comedy channel. Today's video, we're going to be talking about why did Jon Snow fail as Lord Commander. Now, there are a couple reasons, and I'll talk about it, in a little bit, but I also want to preference that Jon made some decisions that were morally good and were the honorable decisions and made sense, but the problem is when you look at Jon, who he's like ruling over, you have to understand how those people feel, right? Like, what things are you going to do that will make them hate you? So in this video, we're going to explore the decisions he makes that are not great when it looks at for other people and why people end up trying to kill him or end up actually killing him. So before we get into the video, if you guys like to like, subscribe, and comment, please do. It help the channel grow, reach our people that might like this content as well. And let's get into it. So the big thing I want to talk about to start out this video is I don't believe Jon did a very good job of listening to people when they were giving him advice. So for instance, there is a Bowen Marsh's plan to seal the gates, and it's kind of like the scene we see in the show where Jon is telling Alliser Thorne that we should block the gates so that when the Wildlings attack, they wouldn't be able to get through the gates because they'd be sealed. Jon kind of almost just shrugs this off and is like, yeah, I'll think about it. And then it's almost never brought up again. Like, Jon thinks about it, but never really even says anything to Bowen Marsh. And he does this a couple times where people are giving him advice and Jon just seems to not take it at all, or at least even consider it to where the people actually feel, worth it. And I feel like Jon isolates a lot of people by really not listening to anyone, in my opinion. And that's kind of to also kind of go with the idea that Jon did not paint himself in a good image, right? When you're looking at him becoming Lord Commander, he is not someone that satisfies everyone, right? Because he is someone that was very much hated by kind of the Janos Slint faction, and he kind of was able to gain the votes of other people, and they kind of just were like, okay, Jon's kind of the middle choice, right, for them. The people really didn't love Jon that elected him. So when you come into this and you go, okay, Jon is being elected not really because he is loved and people think he's a good candidate, but more as though he is the kind of middle guy. He's the guy that can bring two groups together to beat Janos Slint. So you have that idea where he is not the most popular candidate to ever make it into Lord Commander. He's actually probably one of the least popular already coming in. And we also see that from the people that don't like him already, he already has more or less broken his vows with, having love for a Wildling and, all that stuff. And as well as he's always been very close to the Wildlings now at this point. And also, he did murder Qhorin Halfhand. Whether that be, for this or that, the people that weren't there won't know and will make assumptions like we do see. And my problem with this, and why I'm bringing this up, is that all of these people that don't like Jon usually stay with Jon, right? They're usually not sent away. There is an exception to this case, but when you look at Jon's friends, he isolates them, does not talk with them and do anything with them. He kind of ignores them almost. And if you look at it, he sends away Sam and Gilly, which again, it makes sense. But then he sends away Gren, he sends away Pip, he sends away all these people that are friends with him and would be the people that would support him through all of this stuff. And he pushes them away and sends them away. Now, Jon's reasoning behind this is that, well, he can't get too close to his men because he may have to judge over these people in the future if they ever were to commit a crime, or if he had to send them to death or something like that, where, he's sending them to guard something where he knows they possibly will die. But the thing is with that is Jon should know these people would never do anything that stupid, in my opinion. These are his closest friends, and they were there for him when he was going to desert the wall and all that, or at least some of them were. So, to me, it is a clear thing that Jon is pushing away everybody that was a friend to him, someone that supported him. And when he gets rid of all of his closest allies, Jon does start to feel quite lonely and alone, and it's because he does it to himself, right? He pushes everyone away from himself, and it's a bad idea. He should be doing the opposite. He should be gaining all of his support in, you know, right there where he is, and then sending all these other people away. He had the right idea with Jaina Slint. Send him away to man one of the Night's Watch castles. If he refuses, you can always behead him. It's a perfect opportunity for Jon to get rid of someone that he doesn't like and doesn't like him back. He's not really hated until later on in his decisions, even more, to the point where people believe, okay, he has to be kind of murdered or killed. And that's something that I think is very interesting. And because Jon, we see, is taking on a lot of what Ned always told him to do, with keeping your enemies kind of close and kind of all these things with your friends. It shows Jon taking lessons from Ned in a political setting where there's a lot of unrest, where Ned ruled over the North, where you can rule over the North very differently than you can rule over the Night's Watch. The Night's Watch has a lot of different types of people, a lot of people that used to be criminals, their honor's probably not the best, all different types of cultures at the Wall. So that's a big one. Now, the next thing we're going to talk about is the Wildlings. So, in my opinion, Jon makes a bunch of mistakes when it comes to the Wildlings, because the problem is, and here's the thing I'm going to bring up right away. We know that Jon and the Night's Watch, before the Iron Bank comes over and he takes a loan, they did not have food to support these Wildlings. And we know there's like thousands of Wildlings that are going to be at the Wall at this point now. I think it's like maybe 5,000, maybe more. But the problem is they don't have the food to supply the Night's Watch and the Wildlings. Bowen Marsh, again, he is one of the big characters that is mentioned in this. And Bowen Marsh kind of understands that we don't have the food for even a year with all of these Wildlings. We need to send them away. They need to go, you know, get their own food or something. And it's something where it's like, yes, the morally good choice is to, you know, help the Wildlings. But the best choice for the Night's Watch, it gets kind of mixed, because the Night's Watch at this point is not going to be able to survive food-wise if the Wildlings are here. And again, Jon just kind of dismisses Bowen Marsh and is like, we'll find a way. When it's like, there's no way you can find this out besides the Iron Bank, which you get really lucky on. So again, Jon is being very honorable and trying to make the right decisions here, but he really is neglecting any counsel he's being given, and is really putting the Night's Watch at a very big risk. Now, another thing that, you know, I think would bother someone of just a random Night's Watchman, you know, you're not like higher up, but just seeing this from the outside, is giving Night's Watch castles to the Wildlings. Now, again, this is a tough one because the Night's Watch, these are their castles. They're very sacred. They've been defending against the Wildlings for so long that a lot of people with tradition and all that will see this as, what are you doing, Jon? Like, you're giving these Wildlings people that a lot of these people have fought, have lost people to, and they can't really see the big picture. You're giving them castles, basically, to defend themselves. If they were to ever revolt against us, what would we do? And it just kind of shows how Jon, I guess, kind of needed to explain this better to people, that the reason we're like needing the Wildlings is because the others, the White Walkers, are coming, and we don't have enough people. We need to know where they're coming from and all this stuff. And I think Jon could have done a better job of talking about that and making people understand that, but it really just shows the disconnect between Jon and the rest of the Night's Watch, where there are very few people who are like, yeah, the Wildlings, we should let them have this, we should let them through the Wall. And then that even kind of leads to some more things with the Wildlings that don't really make sense if you're a normal Night's Watch person, is sending Val away. This is a big one because this is your most, I guess, valuable Wildling hostage, if you look at it from that perspective, especially from like the Stannis perspective, and you're just letting her go free, right? it's not a good look. I mean, a lot of people might take this as you're sending away someone that could take up Mance Rayder's kind of throne and lead Wildlings against us again. So to me, and again, I'm trying to kind of give you guys the opinion and point of view of someone that's not informed, of someone who's just a normal Night's Watch, and maybe they're a steward, maybe they're a ranger. It shows you how disconnected they probably would have felt towards Jon, and how all these decisions they think could possibly negatively impact them. Now, another thing that I don't even like this one, I think it's a really weird one, is marrying Alice Karstark to a Thenn. So the Karstarks are one of the major houses in the north, and marrying the Karstark, or really giving the seat of power to a Thenn, that's not a good look for Jon, especially when he's being named a wildling lover and all of these other things. Giving one of the most powerful seats in the north to a Thenn is not a good look, and that's described perfectly with a lot of the Night's Watchmen, how they react to this situation. And it would have made way more sense, in my opinion, if Alice Karstark would have been married to someone like someone in Stannis' camp would have made sense, or saying that basically Alice Karstark is in the protection of Stannis, because there was kind of men there protecting the Queen Cersei and Shireen and all that. So for me, it would have made sense for Alice Karstark to have then been kind of put into their protection, and then Jon can still imprison them and all that stuff, and it doesn't make any difference right there, because Jon can say, well, we're not taking any part in the wall. I mean, Stannis claimed her, so if you have a problem, you go talk with Stannis and all that. Now, getting into the last kind of points of this video is the pink letter. And I think there's a lot of emotions going on with Jon that have been boiling from the first book to now. Jon at the wall has kind of been watching as his whole family gets destroyed, killed, all of that. Everything that he grew up on is different now. Winterfell is being, taken by the Boltons and all that. And you look at Jon, and I think this is the point of his breaking. We see with Tyrion at the trial where he kind of breaks down and finally tells people how it is. And Jon, seeing that, it's said that Stannis is dead and all this stuff, and that Jon needs to kind of keep peace, and that he's basically Ramsay is threatening the Night's Watch. Jon, in his mind, tries to justify that going south and killing Ramsay is protecting the Night's Watch. Now, we see Jon's side of this, right? Jon, it makes sense for him to want to do this. Arya is his last family, and Ramsay's kind of been calling her out. And by I say last family, I mean Jon believes Rickon's dead, Bran's dead, Robb's dead. Sansa is missing at this point. She, was with the Lannisters, but she's missing at this point. Ned's dead. Catelyn wasn't really family to him, but Catelyn's dead as well. Benjen's missing. So it really strikes a nerve to me with Jon, or not with me, but with Jon, that Ramsay's really targeting Jon's last family and the person that he is the closest to. So I think this hits a nerve for Jon, and Jon has good reason, but look at it from the outside again. You have all of these conflicting things that's been going on. I've been talking about this whole video, where I think a lot of the people in charge feel very much isolated from Jon, where they're not taking their advice, and also they're doing a lot of things that go against the Night's Watch. If you look at the Night's Watch just from an objective point of view, Jon is going against a lot of those things. Jon is being very progressive, is how I would kind of talk about the Night's Watch, because he's doing a lot of things that have never been done before. He's trying to bring the wildlings into kind of a state of equality with the rest of the Night's Watch and stuff like that. And the Night's Watch, from the outside, don't take this well. And Jon does not do a great job of explaining to them all of that going on. So when you have this situation where Jon's like, okay, I'm gonna leave the wall. We're gonna go south. And you know, he doesn't say the Night's Watch to come with him. The Wildlings agree to come with him, and it's kind of one of those things where like he asks for volunteers to go south, and this ends up resulting in him being stabbed by his fellow Night's Watchman. And you can tell this is a very hard decision for a lot of them, and it's not something where on the show it seemed like out of malice and out of hate and out of all this other kind of things. It very much feels like a thing where this was a tough decision for these people to betray Jon, and in their minds they're not betraying Jon. He betrayed the Night's Watch, and this kind of had to happen. So that is the video for me, guys. If you guys have anything else you would like to kind of pepper onto why Jon failed, I think the big thing is he takes a lot of values from Ned, and we see how Ned does not do well in places politically outside of the North. He's not very good at, I guess, reading people and all that. And Jon does a very bad job of this. Like, he kind of understands that people don't like him, but he doesn't do anything to kind of fix it, right? Like, it feels like almost half the time he's being asked to be killed. And he's even warned by Mel that, you know, he's probably going to die, and Jon just kind of shrugs it off. So we'll see how Jon comes back in the next book, if he does, and how he learns from these situations. But yeah, so thank you guys all for watching this video. I hope you all enjoyed, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye, guys.
If you think this has a happy ending, you haven't been paying attention.